Ladies and gentlemen, you may be a little bit confused, but this is my new office. It may be a little bit echoey and my audio may be a little bit off. So we have some fine tuning to do. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about this on my second channel, probably tomorrow or the next day before Call of Duty Next happens. We're officially in here. I have my entire new office set up, and it just so happened I wasn't planning on uploading a video today, but Call of Duty put out some intel on something called aftermarket parts. And it's something that is going to change the way you use Gunsmith, interact with weapons, and specifically attachments within Modern Warfare 3. And I'm going to show you exactly what I mean by that as we go through. There's a lot more to this than originally meets the eye, but we're going to hop in. They show us some gameplay and look at what they're actually talking about here as we go through this video. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so the important part to that is that they mention weapons that have already been mastered or played out. So of course, what they are talking about there is referring to the weapons from Modern Warfare 2 that are then being brought over into Modern Warfare 3. So yeah, you may have fully maxed them out, but there's a way to come back to them, and that is with these aftermarket parts, or another name for them is conversion kits. Is something that is kind of already in the game. When they talk about weapon platforms, it's kind of changing that up, but there's more to it as you're going to see as we go through this.
It's going to give them an entirely new dimension.
So the example that they give here is full auto carbine conversion. This heavy carbine kit converts the Renetti pistol. So keep in mind, what you are looking at here is actually a pistol into a compact and maneuverable SMG. It allows for optics, stocks, and underbarrel attachments. So the pros of this is it allows for tactical stance. That's another new thing within Modern Warfare 3. Remember, there's kind of that in-between thing between hip fire and aim down sights. That's called your tactical stance. There's also bullet velocity and range improvements, rate of fire improvements, full auto fire, and mobility and handling are down, and recoil control is down as well. I'm not sure how that works with more optics and stuff, but it's kind of unclear from this how all of the weapon platforms are going to play into this, but we do get to see a couple more of what this actually does. And of course, as you can tell, this kind of plays into the idea of the 3D printed weapons that we see in the No Russian mission on the airplane that we saw before.
To interact with the gun in a way that regular attachments can't.
Let me go back there for a second. So as you can see down here, you have your conversion kit down in the bottom, and it says Jack Ferocity Carbine Kit. This is put on the Renetti. And then your Renetti, of course, has up to level 21. So it appears as though they're keeping the same amount of weapon levels that we have in Modern Warfare 2, which is good. We're not going back to like 100 weapon levels per weapon. That's good in my books.
Yeah. Think of them as remixes for the guns.
Really, the easiest way to say it is they're nearly a new gun. They are powerful, meaningful changes to these weapons. Caliber, the way that they fire, both rate of fire as well as potentially the fire.
So this is the Jack Ferocity Carbine Kit. Now, one thing that they don't say in this is what can these be used on? In other words, what I mean by that is, can this Jack Ferocity Kit be used on any of the pistols, or what can it actually be used on? Can it be used on SMGs? The other thing that they don't mention is how these are actually unlocked. Are they unlocked by leveling up certain weapons? Are they unlocked by leveling up Modern Warfare 3 weapons, and then you can level these up on your Modern Warfare 2 weapons? We don't know yet, and I'm curious how that's going to work. Okay, Editor Inkslasher here. I actually have an answer to my own question there. As it turns out, after this went live, they put out a blog post, and essentially they explained a little bit more about how the unlocking and these would actually work. So to start out, it appears as though once you fully level up a weapon, by the way, at launch, it appears as though these are only going to be on the Modern Warfare 3 weapons, and they might come on the other weapons at some point. That's at least what the blog post sounds like. And then once you fully level up your weapon, you are going to unlock a challenge. So for this one, for the Palumayot 762, it gives you a challenge at max rank to get 25 kills while hip firing or using a tactical stance. And when you complete that, you unlock this aftermarket part that is going to change it to the bullpup. Similarly, we have the Renetti, and for this one, you have to get 30 kills with 5 attachments equipped, and when you do so, you unlock the Jack Ferocity, which is the aftermarket parts on the Renetti. And then we have the interesting one, and this is actually kind of cool because the WSPs, the challenge for this one is unlocked via a weekly challenge in the preseason, which means they might actually have weekly challenges that give us things like aftermarket parts, which, as they stated, are basically like new weapons, which is pretty cool if they're going to put in challenges like that actually give a reward that is going to change the game up. And if they add them weekly, that's something we've never seen before in Call of Duty. But going back to it.
Type.
We're going to have one of
This
our
is the second
heaviest
one.
machine guns in the game have a conversion kit that turns it into a bullpup, which
Okay. So this is a bullpup kit. This is the Jack Annihilator. So obviously Jack is going to play into the overall story of the game, some sort of weapon manufacturer or something like that. And then they talk about their heaviest LMG in the game being able to be converted into a bullpup weapon, which is going to completely change how that weapon works. Let's dive back into it.
shortens the configuration of the gun and makes it so that you can really run and gun with it. You can spray from the hip, you can sprint out way faster than you could with this much longer, heavier version of the weapon. Aftermarket parts really aspire.
Sorry, let me just go back to something here. If we go back to that, you may recognize that as one of the new Modern Warfare 3 maps, which I believe that map is Rundown. I could be wrong, but from what I see, that's what it is.
Aftermarket parts really aspire to just be fun. We want some of them to be just absolute oddballs that players are completely caught off guard by. And
Okay, let's go back there. So this is WSP Akimbo brace stocks. And as you can see, this makes your weapons or SMGs akimbos. So allows your weapons to be fired akimbo. Obviously, that's going to make your sprint to fire speed, damage range, things like that worse. But again, I don't know if this can only be used on one weapon. And specifically, what just makes this completely different from a attachment as a whole. We had akimbo attachments before. Why is this an aftermarket part different than an attachment? Not totally sure.
completely caught off guard by and want to get in there for just the sheer spectacle of it. It's going to expand playstyles dramatically. We've put a lot into aftermarket parts, and we are so excited for the community to get their hands on them.
So that is pretty much it. That is the in-depth explanation of what these aftermarket parts are. And if you ask me, I am simply a little bit confused. What is different between these attachments, or sorry, aftermarket parts, and just another attachment? As we saw, one of them just made the weapons akimbo. That is already attachment in Modern Warfare 2. So what is exactly the difference there? Does it function as a new weapon? So once you put on that aftermarket part, do you have to level that weapon all the way up again? That's kind of what it looked like in the images that we saw. But again, I am not 100% sure. What I will say is already a lot of people find that the gunsmith within Modern Warfare 2 is very confusing. To me, this is seemingly making it a little bit more confusing. What do you think of this idea? Is it completely game changing? Am I missing something to it? Does it sound like just another attachment to you, or does it change the thing as a whole? The one thing I will say is all of these aftermarket parts seemingly are 3D printed, tie into that no Russian scene. Really, that's all we can take away from it. The other thing, I also want to hear what you think of the new office. I should have a video coming up in the next couple of days on my second channel going over everything that's in here, how I built it. This room never even existed in my house. I had to build the whole thing. So I've kind of documented that, and we'll have that over on the second channel. So feel free to check that out down in the description. But again, I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say about the aftermarket parts. We're going to have a video tomorrow going over everything that we're expected to see in Call of Duty next. And then of course, on the 5th, we have Call of Duty next. We're going to be going over all of that and having the videos for the beta to follow up throughout the weekend. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, like what you see here, want to stay up to date, make sure you subscribe, turn notifications on, all of that jazz. And as always, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, peace out.
We are reaching for the stars, but we're making it.